Welcome back to another Lo-Fi Monday. Today we're talking about a low-risk way that you can get a lot of inquiries as well as potentially make hundreds of thousands of dollars over your career, which sounds too good to be true. But there are photographers already doing it, so it's not too good to be true. It's actually happening, just maybe not to you yet.
Lots of photographers.
Joined by Lachlan today. Lachlan, CEO over at Focal. Tens of thousands of leads, both managed and also responded to. And you've learned a lot. You know a lot from a lot of different photographers all around the world. So let's talk about a low risk way that you can generate some leads.
Yeah, I think honestly, a lot of photographers that I talk to on a daily basis who are interested in our Ignite program, it's like they want to run ads. They want to do it. They want to see if it's going to work for them in their business and, in their market. And the barrier for them is that they don't know how. It feels like this huge wall or mountain to climb just to get the ads running. And then after, I think what I see often is they get the ads running, maybe they get some leads coming in, but then they actually have no idea what to do with them. And then they end up just kind of lighting that money on fire. Yeah, pretty much what I wanted to talk about is how easy it is to get started with Ignite, just to try out the program. So we get a lot of questions about pricing, and then questions about what our sign up process looks like. So I wanted to talk about pricing first, and then I'll talk about the sign up process. Pricing is very simple. It's $450 a month for the Ignite program, and that is on a 1-year term. But we actually offer a 60-day trial of Ignite. And what that means is if anytime in the first 60 days of your ads running, you're not feeling like the program is a good fit for you, you can actually leave the program with no penalty, and you don't need to fulfill the full year contract. I don't think Wedding Wire or The Knot offers any sort of exit from their contract.
No, they will harass you forever, and they will take you to some sort of
house.
Yeah, they'll hire lawyers. They'll chase you. If you cancel the credit card you pay with, they will find you.
And that's purely a function of the way Ignite is structured. So obviously Ignite is a revenue share model where Focal and you, the photographer, are succeeding when we book you weddings. And the reality is if Focal isn't booking you weddings, it's super not worth it for us. So we do a lot of due diligence in the process to make sure that we think you're in a good market, that we think you're going to be a good fit, that you're going to be able to book weddings in the program. And so that 60-day clause is actually a two-way clause. If Focal isn't honestly feeling like you're going to be successful in the program too, we have the right to boot you. So you can be aware of that. But it does introduce this kind of flexibility in, if the program's working, of course, that's awesome. You're booking weddings. It's great. And if it doesn't, no worries. You would know that really quickly within the first month. So the risk is really only $450. Now that $450, half of that goes to your ad budget. So really what you're paying is $225 to get a full team to build your ads, to set up the ad creative, to run the targeting based on the tens of thousands of leads we've generated. So we're getting very optimal cost per lead on the leads and the ad targeting. And then, we're also setting up all the landing pages. We're bringing those leads in, and then we're setting up client calls for you. So for most photographers in the first month of Ignite, you're seeing roughly 10 to 15 leads, sometimes more. And you're getting 5 to 10 client calls for $450.
That's pretty incredible.
That's pretty incredible. And if you don't think you can book a wedding from 5 to 10 client calls, you got a problem there.
Yeah. Plus, if you're in the Ignite program, they'll coach you. You'll be coached with what you do. That I think Troy reviews the videos and will give you tips, which is, I would say that's that doesn't exist. I don't think anywhere else in the entire industry. No one's going to give you sales call feedback
for $450. You're getting somebody actually watching your video calls to make sure you're doing a good job. And sometimes they'll point out things you would never think of, maybe your audio is just lagging a little bit. That's really weird and drives your couple's crazy, or maybe your background is weird, or you're wearing a weird shirt or something. We'll point all those things out to you pretty ruthlessly, but those things matter a lot. We also do pretty thorough portfolio reviews. We make sure that your Instagram portfolio matches your website. It's very common. We'll see somebody that's got a pretty up-to-date Instagram, their work looks awesome, but then you go to their website and it's 2005 was the last update. So we'll point out things like that. So there's just an immense amount of value in that 450. You're also getting a studio management team replying to the leads, getting the couples to book calls. And then after the calls, you're getting somebody that's actually doing the sales, doing the closing for you. Yeah. So it's an immense amount of value for just like a $450 investment.
Yeah, you also get like, I think one of the things that I miss, I worked an office job for a little bit, and I miss having a coworker that I get along with. So it's nice that you actually have someone to talk to about your business.
A team.
A team that is as invested in your success as you are. Because I know that a lot of people in real life, when I was starting my business, they either didn't take it seriously or they would listen, but there was never any valuable feedback because they were in such a different industry. They had no idea how to even offer suggestions. That if I'm like, hey, here's my website, and they'd be like, that looks great. And then I would go to it on the mobile device that they viewed it on, and it would be a disaster. So yeah, having somebody that actually knows what feedback to give you is also huge as well.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that's this team mindset where like we all want to win here. We want a cut of your bookings. Come on, right? And for those of you that are wondering about the cost of Ignite, what we do is a 25% revenue share on the booking. And we actually position the revenue share in a way that it's very flexible to our photographers. Effectively, what happens is we only ever charge you the revenue share after we've collected half the booking. So for example, like say your booking is 5,000. If we take a deposit, let's say we take $1,000 deposit, we get the contract signed. You just get that $1,000. It goes straight through your, Stripe payment processing system, or however you take your payments, goes into your bank account. You get the $1,000, and then it's up to your studio manager to actually set up a payment plan to get that couple up to the 2,500, which is the 50% threshold on that booking. And so only after you have 2,500 in your bank account, that's when Focal is actually invoicing you for our 25% revenue share. And then that's also the point where, you can expense that invoice as a business expense as well. So what we do is make sure you have enough cash in your bank before we ever charge you the revenue share. So it's a very healthy model that way. And, makes it easier on our photographers when they're taking deposits. We're not like charging our fees like immediately.
Yeah. And another thing that I found interesting was that, so I guess I didn't really know when we started the Ignite program. I wasn't really sure, was this going to generate a lot of $800 weddings, or was it going to generate a single $10,000 wedding? I had no idea. And do you want to talk a little bit about where everything is across the board?
Yeah, this is like a really interesting insight. I'm glad you brought that up, Taylor. So we work with photographers all over Canada, the US, Australia, and the UK. And so obviously, Canada, Australia, and the UK bring down our global booking average quite a lot just on the currency conversion. And so what we see is actually an average booking around, like the most volume for us is around 3,000 to 4,000 US dollars. That's our average booking, and where we see the highest amount of like volume in bookings, bearing in mind that that's like brought down by the currency conversion. So if you're in the States and you're in like a big market, like in California, or you're in the DMV area, or in New York, New Jersey, those are some of our biggest markets where the average booking is much, much, much higher. So, we have a lot of data on this, and part of our evaluation when we're talking with you about the Ignite program is looking at what market you're in, looking at your pricing, and comparing that data against what we have, and seeing how competitive you're going to be in the market.
Even that is like a crazy value for somebody as well. Like to have somebody completely go through your entire business, including pricing, and look at your sales calls and everything. It's like kind of nuts.
That's actually pretty much free advice that we give just in the Ignite kind of consultation process. So one of the first conversations we'll have with you if you sign up to consult with us about the Ignite program is we'll have a look at your pricing, we'll have a look at your market, we'll have a look at you, how you kind of convey yourself on video call, we'll have a look at your portfolio, and then our team essentially makes an assessment on if we think you're marketable or not.
Yeah, that's fun. I like that.
and we're pretty direct. And I think, even for photographers that aren't accepted to the program, or photographers that maybe decide the program isn't good for them, they get a lot of value out of just that feedback and us benchmarking them against our data and stuff.
Absolutely. All right. So for a low val or an
Low
easy for a low cost way to get more leads and get more bookings, where can people go to find out a little bit more?
Yeah, the best place is just go bookfocal.com/ignite. You can sign up there to get an info packet on the whole program. And then after you get the info packet, you can submit an application. So it's really simple. We just want to know a little bit about your business, a bit about your pricing, what market you're in. We want to have a look at your website and your Instagram. I think those are all the questions, 5 or 6 questions about your business. And then what our team does is we evaluate those applications and we select photographers that we want to invite for a consult. Typically, that's a pretty quick process. We send you an invite, you meet with us same week or next week. It's a very relaxed conversation. It's not an interview at all. It's very much just like the way Taylor and I talk. We just genuinely want to know a bit about your business. We want to hear about your goals. We want to tell you as much as we can about the Ignite program, answer any questions you have, be as transparent as possible, because this really is a partnership, and partnerships don't work if Focal tries to just sell you on something that isn't real or whatever. We really want you to actually understand what you're signing yourself up for, because the better you understand that, the better it'll go, the more weddings we'll book, and then everyone's happy. So yeah, consult. After the consult, you'll have the option of asking us to take your application to final review. So if you're interested in moving forward with the Ignite program, we will do a team review of your application, and then we'll typically get back to you within 2 to 3 days on if we're accepting you into the program. If we do accept you to the program, just really kind of summarize the pricing. Upon being accepted to the program, we do require a damage deposit. And what that is it's kind of like rent. We treat it actually exactly like rent. So we ask for $450, your first month rent, as a damage deposit. What that kind of covers Focal for is all the onboarding. We set up your little marketing website. We set up the landing pages. We set up your packages, your pricing, all of that. We train you. We walk you through the process for consultations and how to do those video calls with couples. And that's typically a 2 to 3 week process that we're onboarding you. After the onboarding is done, we start your ads. And that's when your ads start going. At that point, you're paying your first month of rent. So your first $450 payment. And then that goes on subsequently for a year. Of course, if you decide to exit the program anytime in the first 60 days, no worries. Like I said, there's no penalty. Just be aware that those monthly payments are kind of forfeit. If you pay a month, we obviously put that money into ads and then you leave, you're not getting that back, but you will get your damage deposit back. So that's a refundable damage deposit. We just kind of hold it onto it. As long as you don't breach our contract, mainly not mean to our studio managers and stuff, you'll always get that damage deposit back. Either if you leave in the trial period, or maybe you complete your 12-month Ignite term and then you decide to leave. But lots of photographers as well just continue on month to month, and then we just keep that damage deposit until you decide to leave the program, and then you would get that back. So those are really the only costs for Ignite. The investment is pretty much that $450 damage deposit, which you'll get back, and then just the monthly $450 in ad spend. And I think that is really, really low risk, really low risk, considering, the fact that, it's pretty likely that you'll book a wedding within those first 60 days. You'll have a good feel for the program, and you'll be able to evaluate if it's a good fit for your business or not.
Yeah. And I've for sure spent $450 in ads that were unguided and didn't yield me anything. So
you hit the Instagram boost button and it on fire.
Yeah, and when you do it on
your bank balance just
yeah, yeah. So definitely check out the Focal Ignite program. Links down below if you're interested. And see you again next Lo-Fi Monday.